11, okay, then that would be the record that follows the picture.
The illustration.
That's
okay,
right.
I'm with you.
And so members have problems with that. They go, well, it doesn't say the Book of Abraham after that. It's the Book of Breathings, and if you want to call it that. John likes to call it the Book of Recommendation or Fellowship. Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's something new I didn't know.
Sensen is not translated correctly. Okay? It should be translated as recommendation or fellowship or something like that.
How interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, the things you learn when you talk to these Mormon scholars, man. That's awesome. Okay.
So then what happens is that puts the member into some sort of cognitive dissonance. That's what critics call it.
Favorite word.
That's right.
Cognitive. My Ash talked about that yesterday.
Yes. It kind of puts them into this world of, oh no, what do I do?
Yeah.
With this information that's before me, and that's what the main problem is, though, Carrie. Okay, that's what really gets to people. Okay, they look at this stuff and they go, it doesn't make sense. Joseph Smith must have, thought that the Book of Abraham came after this picture. It doesn't. He made it up. End of story.
Okay, that's it in a nutshell.
That's kind of it in a nutshell. Okay, and I'll talk a little bit more about that today. But the problem is that the deeper you look into that thesis, the wobblier it becomes. Okay. Number one, I talked about this 2 years ago. Everything that we're dealing with these manuscripts, with all those little characters on the sides, are all copies. Okay, they're not the originals. Okay, so that's problem number one. Okay, with that.
So we have late copies of copies.
That's right. We have late copies of whatever the
So
original.
this wasn't technically, even though we have this information that Abraham wrote upon the papyrus and all that. This is not his actual handwriting on these papyrus.
No.
These are Egyptian documents. Now, the genuine Egyptian documents.
That's right.
That wasn't.
They're copies.
You can't.
Yeah,
they're copies of genuine copies.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about transmission in text there.
Okay.
The text itself could be very ancient, like what we do with the Bible. Okay.
Right.
The text of the Bible could be 1800 BC. Okay, but it's printed in 1981. Okay.
Well, there you go. Okay.
So it's just a transmission coming down the line there, and so and another thing about the papyri is that it's very clear that the picture doesn't have to go with what comes after the picture. Okay. In other words,
not the same subject matter.
That's right. You might have Abraham or an altar
so
scene.
So why would it be attached though if he's referring to that picture and it's attached?
It could be, number one, that the ancient Egyptians, they'd hire two sets of people for these kinds of documents. They'd hire the guys who would draw it out, and they'd hire the guys who put the text on afterwards. Okay? A lot of times, most of the time, in fact, it doesn't necessarily match up. Okay, with the picture.
So the artist may not have been understanding the writing anyway. Who knows?
It doesn't even, he may not have understood it, he may not have, or they just...
Who is it? Ogden Hauglid? Is that how you pronounce his name? Hauglid. It's the new book of readings, the papyrus coming forth by day of Raymond Faulkner's translation.
Okay.
The big one.
Right.
Carol, somebody put together, and he has an essay in the back where he mentions in two places in the Papyri this exact situation.
That's right.
The chapter 51 of the Book of the Dead, and it has this illustration, but that illustration belongs to chapter 53.
That's right.
And then we don't have the text.
Yeah, that's exactly
53.
right. Yeah.
So
we don't know exactly what the ancient Egyptians were thinking most of the time as far as their illustrations. They didn't think the way we think about illustrations, where you would have text,
Raymond Faulkner's big on that too.
Yeah, and you say, okay, see figure 21 or whatever, and there it is, figure 21.
Yeah.
They didn't work that way.
Right.
Now the modern,
it's a different paradigm, so to speak.
Yeah, the modern numbering in the facsimiles, that was Joseph Smith. Right?
Yes.
The numbers weren't on the hypocephalus.
Right.
Actually, on all three of them.
That's all Joseph.
Okay.
And also all of the text that Joseph Smith put in.
The hieratic text.
No, just the English text. All the English text that he put in there, he calls explanations, not translations.
I see. Right.
Which is, I think, something you picked up on.
It is
in the past with
and I've had critics before ask me too. They've said, okay, even you, Carrie, you have shown the original hypocephalus, and you know it's incomplete. They used to say we were scared to let people see it.
Right.
So I decided, Bob Bonnie, here's the original. It's incomplete. Yeah. And we know Joseph Smith took some hieratic text put some on the rim, that upper
right.
corner where the ship
right.
is, that
Yeah.
actually has the Egyptian hieroglyph ship of the god, interestingly.
It does, yeah.
That's not in the papyri, so
Right.
far as I can see.
At least not in what we have anyway.
Not what we have
That's
at this
right.
point. But so why? My theory is, and I've been criticized for this, and I don't know the answer at this point. I'll ask your opinion. You almost fell off.
I'm glad that you get some criticism too.
Oh boy, do I get some criticism? That's okay. I can take it. Bring it on. Why would he take the hieratic from the papyri just to? I have said, well, he wants it to look complete, but you notice he never made any explanation about anything on the rim.
No.
And that upper quadrant, and I'm in the process of producing some videos on the details of all that,
Right.
has that ship of the god, but he has to put a ship. Now, there's lots of different figures in the papyri. You know, that walking snake was cooler than cool.
That's right,
He could have
yeah.
put that in there and said, look at this. Instead, he put a ship, and it belongs there.
That's right, yeah.
So I've argued.
You wonder why
does-
he got that, how did he get that right? Yeah.
Yeah, but do you think it's because he was trying to make it look complete? Or is there something that we're still misunderstanding where he's trying to connect the papyri with the facsimiles after all?
That's a good question. You know, I
Probably
think
an open
you're on
question,
the
huh?
yeah, it is an open question. You're kind of on the edge of our understanding of some of this, and so
All right.
we do know that one section there does come from the papyri, and that it's filled in. We also know that some of the or figure number 3 was drawn in later on. you know,
Right.
and that figure number 1, some of that was missing, and so that was
Yes, it
drawn in.
was, yeah. The four-headed deity
That's
that
right.
Joseph made it to. And
That's
all.
right, yeah, and so we don't know, you know, if, and I like to give Joseph the benefit of the doubt as a prophet that he may have received some inspiration on some of this.
I do too.
And filled it in. But you'll
Sure.
notice that Mike Rhodes does not work on any of the translation for that little section there, for isn't it Demotic in there? It seems to me it's a later.
At least it's a hieratic anyway.
Yeah, but anyway, he doesn't translate that because it does come from that other papyri.
Oh, yeah, in his book.
That's right.
In the Horror Book of Readings.
That's right.
That's
he does
true.
not
He does.
translate. He
Yeah.
only translates the stuff that was there originally.
You know, it's because of his translation that I actually began to see the doctrine, the idea of the atonement in these pagan Egyptian papyri.
Yeah.
That is so fascinating how, because of the way he translates it with the soul journeying upward, flying up like a hawk
right.
to the heavens and all, joining the gods. Faulkner had that king as the star in the ancient Egyptian religion and all that. But, so there's value to paganism.
Some value to it. Well, it might be, you know, there's.
It's like
there may
Kevin
be
Barney
some,
said, it's a transmission.
more like
perhaps Jews-
adaptation. yeah.
Adaptation, that's
I think
the word.
that's probably more where we're going with this. Is there's some adaptation going on here with these papyri, and so. But those are some of the problems that we're dealing with still, and we're
Okay.
still trying to see how it's connected to the manuscripts too. You know, with all the characters there. We're
So
still
there are no
trying to work
firm
on it.
answers. We're still working on things, but like I've drifted off to instead of going on to papyri, because Guy and you and others are so much more capable. You've got the photographs. I've been tinkering with the facsimiles, and criminy, I'm finding enough material with the facsimiles alone to keep me going for years. I'm going to make hundreds of YouTube videos, just almost
We
facsimiles.
already have 400, so you need hundreds more.
I know. I'm slacking, and I apologize to all my viewers and to the scholars. Larry, you want to kick in here and say anything about papyri? You reviewed.
Rittner.
Yeah,
Yes,
Robert
I did.
Rittner.
You did. That's right. So he's got some things he can say as well on the papyri. That's for sure.
And Robert Rittner is a great Egyptologist. And you didn't ridicule him on that. Of course not. I shouldn't even use the word ridicule, should I? It wasn't a ridicule. It was a basic review of telling him to quit being such a obnoxious cuss. But I have noticed he has another article on Anubis and the lunar disk, where he has shown Egyptologically that, and I believe it's in the Journal of Egyptian Archaeology, where he's shown that Anubis himself is pictured sometimes with this great big disk, and he's rolling this disk to Osiris because he is not mummifying Osiris, he is resurrecting him. And this is from Rittner. So the role of Anubis as the mummifier, which is what the 1912 guys, I don't dare call them Egyptologists, because Nibley showed they really weren't, you know.
Right.
Spalding cheated like crazy on that. It's a great study. But Rittner's now come out and said, the role of Anubis is a role of a resurrector. And I thought, that's true.